I cannot believe that we are halfway through 2025 already. Like, literally insane. Literally. Hello, everyone. Happy June 30th. Welcome back to another video or episode of Book Blabs. I'm Nat, and I love to blab all things books. So today we are doing quarter 2 of 2025 reading wrap up. So this is talking about the months April, May, and June. Anyways, it's going to be a long video because I read a lot of books and I'm going to talk about all of them. So please grab a snack, grab a beverage, pull up a chair, get cozy. Let's get on with it. So in April, I read 16 books, and I'm going to try and blitz through these because if I yap too long, this video is going to be 40 million hours long, which I don't want. So the first book I read in April was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson, and I gave this one 4 stars. I read this one for a book club that I'm in with my sister, and this book was interesting, but it also wasn't my typical genre because I feel like it was mystery / crime books. It's about kind of like a murder mystery. So this really old man hires this writer to come, or not writer but journalist to come and solve a really long cold case, I guess, of a murder within his family. And it's just really expansive because there's also a girl with a dragon tattoo who's kind of a badass, and she is really good at technological things, connecting all the dots and digging up dirt on people and finding money trails and all of that stuff. So at first they kind of work separately, and then they kind of come together and kick ass, and it's really cool. It's twisty, it's good. I gave it 4 stars. I couldn't give it 5 stars because it just wasn't in my general comfort zone of books. Next, I read Light Lark by Alex Astor, which was one of my 25 for 2025, so yay. Yeah, I gave this one 5 stars, and not because the writing was the best writing I've ever experienced in my whole life, but because I believe that 5 stars is a feeling, and I just got so giddy, so excited with this book. I flew through it. This one, if you've never heard of it, it's about I think it's 5 different islands or isles of people who all have curses, and then once every, I forget how long, is 100 years or something, there's a competition and they all come together to compete, and whoever wins gets a power, or they get to break their curse. And so there's a lot of lies, there's deceit, there's romance, there's backstabbing. It's really good. Plus there's kind of a love triangle, so I ate that up. Next, I read Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name. I also gave this one 5 stars just because it made me feel so nostalgic. This is about a girl named Juliet who starts locked away in prison. She's been imprisoned all alone, and all of a sudden she gets recruited by this military guy to try and work for him, even though it's a dystopian world. So she believes that she doesn't know up from down, so it's he's the bad guy pretty much, and he's trying to recruit her. He's hey, you hurt people and kill people when you touch them, so I'm gonna recruit you to come work for me. And she's F you. So it's really cool. Loved that. Then I also read Destroy Me, which is I think the novella that comes after the first books, book 1.5, by Tahira Mafi. I gave that one 3 stars just because we know this, I'm not a novella girly. I don't even remember what it's about, to be honest. Like, I think this one's Warner's POV, maybe. I think or it might be Adam's. I don't remember. It's one of their two POVs, like before, like while I think it might be Warner's while he's like researching Juliet and like, learning about her and finding out about her. But I don't remember. That tells you how much I liked it. Next I read In His Veins by Jolene Rain. I rated this one 3 stars. It was middle of the road for me. Honestly, could not tell you the plot. I think it's a mafia romance. But other than that, like, I remember it was like enjoyable. It got me by. I read it pretty quickly, but the plot has already eluded me. Like, it's gone. I couldn't tell you a single thing about that book.
Hey, look! It's my brain. Hey, where's it going? Oh, there! There! Oh, that way! There! I got it!
I also read Circe by Madeline Miller, and I gave this one 3 stars, which I know a lot of people are going to cry about this. Like I don't mean to break your heart, okay? And I will say I do really appreciate Circe as a badass female main character. Like, she's amazing. Like, what is more feminist than turning men into pigs? And it's like, I love her growth and like how she goes from this like naive, loving girl to this like, bold, brave woman who learns to like balance the head versus the heart. I can appreciate that, but I was also going through a lot in my personal life when I was reading this, and so I think it was just the emotional depth was too much for me to handle at that time. Therefore, I was like, yeah, my brain kind of like clocked out. I was like, sorry. It's clocked out. I also read Funny Story by Emily Henry, and I gave this one 5 stars just because I literally loved the vibes of this book. It is so summery, it is so fun, it is so sweet and cute. This one, I feel like a bunch of people talked about it, but I'll give you my brief synopsis. But our main guy and our main girl, their exes, or like their current boyfriend / girlfriend, break up with them and get with the other. So our main characters are like, well, wouldn't it be a funny story if we pretended to date and then went to their wedding? Like, ha ha ha. Like, they left us for each other, so we'll leave them for each other. Like, I don't know. That was probably the worst description ever. I think anyone in the entire universe could have explained it better. But just know that somewhere deep down I am competent and can explain things. But yeah, the banter and the friendship and like the healing process in this book was just really sweet. It was just like a very good vibes book. I flew through it, therefore I gave it 5 stars, because 5 stars is a feeling to me. It is not like a concrete achievable thing. It's like, if I feel like it's 5 stars, then I'm gonna give it 5 stars, and that's that. Book number 8 that I read in April is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Yet again, another 5 star. So April was full of bangers, I guess. But Better Than the Movies is a YA romance, and it was so cute. It is about a girl and like a rival she has. His name's Wes, and they basically are neighbors, but they fight over this parking spot in front of their building all the time. And our main girl figures out that Wes is like really good friends with the boy she's had a crush on for forever. So she makes him a deal. She's like, Wes, I will let you park in the parking spot. No fights, no ifs and or buts, if you help me get with my man crush. And so he says deal, and then some cute plot ensues. It's really fun. The next book I read is Unravel Me by Tahira Mafi. I think this is book 2. I tend, when I read series like back to back, I tend to blur them together, like what happens in what book. I also don't want to tell you the synopsis of this book if you haven't read the first one, but book 2 is when plot really starts to kind of like take off, because like in dystopian YA books, like I feel like book 1 is like scratching the surface, and then book 2 is like when it starts to kind of take off. You're like, okay, I get where this is going. So I gave Unravel Me 5 stars because, like the plot is getting juicier. I read it in like a day and a half, I think. So like I was just getting excited. I loved all the characters. I loved what was going on. So it was truly very fun. Next, I read Fracture Me by Tahira Mafi, which is 2.5. So it's the next novella after book 2. I gave this one 3 stars. I think this is the one that's in Adam's point of view, like before he met Juliet, I think. But I'm not completely sure. I get them mixed up. One's about one, one's about the other, but one is in Adam's point of view and one's in Warner's point of view. I don't remember which one's which. Then right after Fracture Me, I read Ignite Me, which is book 3 of the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. And I rated this book 5 stars with a bunch of underlines and like 6 exclamation points in my little journal right here, because this book changed my life. Like the way that I still think about this book, I'm not going to tell you the synopsis, but just know that the girls who know. Like, I know all the book talk girlies talk about Aaron Warner, and now I know why. Because of book 3, because of Ignite Me. Yeah, I still think about this book. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, I love Ignite Me. Next, I read book 12 for April. I read Crossroads by Devney Perry. This is I think it was, well, it must have been, it's April's book for my book club. I'm in 3 book clubs, by the way, so call me crazy, but I read a lot, so I figured why not be social with it. But one of my book clubs, we read Crossroads by Devney Perry for April, and I finished that and gave it 4 stars. This one was really sweet. It's like a simple cowboy romance, but I really loved how it like got a little bit more emotionally developed than like just your average run of the mill romance. But basically, our main male character's family owns like a ranch, but they're broke. So this woman steps in, she buys it from the family. And so, but the dad did not tell his 2 sons that he was selling the ranch until day of. So our female main character shows up. She's like, all right, I'm here. I bought it. I'm ready to start. And the dad calls the 2 boys in and he's like, all right, she's the new owner. She owns everything you're standing on. She runs this place now. And what's even better is that our female main character and our male main character have known each other since they were little. So this is like a friends to lovers slash second chance romance slash estranged to lovers. Like they haven't spoken in so many years, and it's so good. It's so good. I loved it. 4 stars. Next, I read The Game Changer by Lana Ferguson, and I gave this also 4 stars. This book was fun. I don't remember a lot about it. I just know it's like a baker. She has like a baking show, and our female main character, and then the male main character is a hockey player, and I want to say the male main character is brother's best friend. So our female main character has a brother, and the brother's best friend is our love interest. And he comes onto an episode of her baking show, just I think for like popularity, or like, no, her show is kind of like not doing so hot viewing wise. So she brings on this hotshot hockey player who's trying to get his PR up, and the chemistry that they have on screen is like super amazing. And the audience goes like completely wild, and all the fans are eating it up and starting to ship them. So what do we know? They start to fake date, and it's really cute, because our female main character has had like a crush on her brother's best friend like all of these years. So I liked it. It was fun. Book number 14 I read in April is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I also gave this one 3 stars, and I swear I'm not trying to break hearts, but once again, I was going through a lot emotionally and mentally in April, and so this probably wasn't the best time to read this book, but I still read it anyway, and it's so emotionally deep and complex that I think if I read it at a different time, it would be 5 stars, because I did cry at the end. Like, for the girlies who know, they like, like the ending, it rips your heart out, and it's so sweet. For those of you who don't know, this is the love story between Patroclus and Achilles. And yeah, so we have this like nobody falling in love with this hero, and just the passion that they have and the growth they go to together and the kind of vulnerability that they give each other and this sense of adventure. And yeah, I really, really loved this book, but I just couldn't give it more than a 3 star just because I mentally wasn't prepared for it. I don't think I was in the right spot. Book number 15 that I read in April is Right on Cue by Fallon Ballard, and I gave this one also 4 stars. This one was sweet because it was like actors in like, they were actors and kind of like falling in love. So our female main character is a script writer, and she cannot find her female lead in this movie, and if she doesn't find one quick, she is out of a movie, like she doesn't have, and like the movie is just gonna fall through. So she steps in to kind of like voice it so someone can audition, but everyone says that she's meant for the part, so she kind of reluctantly agrees to be the female lead. Well, the guy who was supposed to play the male lead gets hurt and injured, and so literally day of that filming is supposed to start, he gets replaced by a male character who, or like the male main character, who happens to be the female main character's ex co-star from when she was like a teenager and trying to act. And like they had a really bad falling out and they have not spoken since, and so they're kind of like frenemies. I wouldn't say they're true enemies, but they don't like each other. So yeah, they now have to film a romance movie together, and chaos ensues. The last book I read in April was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this book 5 stars, like right upside like Ignite Me. Like, this book still lives rent free in my head. I know it's very hit or miss for readers, but this book just it checked all the boxes that I wanted checked. This is about Olive, who is a PhD student, and she basically starts fake dating her PhD professor. Well, he's not her professor, like he's not her advisor, but he's like in a different department, but he is a professor at the school that she goes to, and she's fake dating him. And little do we know, he's been secretly pining for her all these years, because he met her like a few years before when she was coming to interview to be a PhD student, and she doesn't recognize him, or like doesn't know it's him. And it's so cute. Oh my god, this book is literally chef's kiss. Like, I love this so much. All right, so those are the 16 books I read in April. Let's move on to May. I also read 16 books in May, so that's why I'm trying to rapid fire through. So, book number 1 in May is Ward D by Frida McFadden, and I gave this 3 stars just because I think this was my least favorite Frida McFadden book I've read thus far, just because it was very predictable in a way. Like, like normally I feel like Frida really rips the rug out from under you and you're like, I was not expecting that. That came out of like so far left field. This one was just kind of like, oh, like you knew the whole time and you're like kind of like, oh. And then like she always adds like a slight twist at the end, like the twist of the twist, like the last chapter, the last few pages, it's like our main character reveals like something and you're like, oh my gosh. This one was like not the greatest twisty twist, but I mean it was still a decent story. Like I didn't not like it. Like I still read it and I wasn't miserable, but I just wasn't shocked. So I gave it 3 stars. Middle of the road for me. Next, book number 2 in May, I read King of Envy by Anna Huang, which is book 5 in the Kings of Sin series. I gave it 4 stars. I wanted to give it 5 stars so bad, but there's a scene or like a part, I want to say like 80% through, 85% through, that I cringed at. And I was like, I'm sorry, Anna. Like, I need to give it 4 stars because of it. But the chemistry in this book, oh, you want to eat it. Like, it's so delectable. For those of you who follow along with the Kings of Sin series or who don't, but this one is kind of like almost like Beauty and the Beast kind of vibes. It's a beautiful model. She's like very much in the public eye because she's this gorgeous, very successful model. And this quiet, scarred, he doesn't really talk a lot. Like he uses sign language a lot, but he is pining for her. But our main character is engaged to another man. So she's engaged to his best friend, but he wants her so bad. So he's the king of envy, and it is delicious. Love, 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 love. Book number 3 in May, I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and I gave this one 4 stars just because I thought it was super fun. So our female main character, she is like part of an agency and she acts as like a bodyguard to like famous people or like people of power or influence. So she gets assigned to be the bodyguard to the like biggest, hottest male actor. Like all the women like fall at his feet and they like want him so bad. Like he's the heartthrob. And so at first she's kind of just like very to the book, very practical, and let's just say like they develop a friendship and it's just super fun, super bantery, super cutesy. I loved this book. It was very fun. Book number 4 that I read in May is The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. I gave this book 4 stars just because it's like very cutesy, you know. I know it's technically a children's book, but I just found myself having a good time with it. Plus, it like the message is so sweet, you know. It's like no matter what you look like or who you are, like you can still have a found family, like, you know, like there's always a place for you, and like there's always a place where you will be welcome. Like you'll never have to be like the complete odd man out. And so it's just sweet. Like I loved the found family aspect and I loved everything about it. If you don't want to read it, you can watch the movie. The movie's just as good, I swear. I know that's blasphemous coming from a reader, but it's really good. Book number 5 I read in May is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I gave this book 5 stars. I am not a historical fiction girly, but this book freaking wrecked me. Like, I was crying my eyes out. This is about the Dust Bowl slash the Great Depression in America. And so it's this woman who, like, she just had a really horrible life. She's had a very hard life, I should say, and she finally gets what she wants. She gets a husband and kids and a family, and she finally feels like she belongs, or that she fits in and she has a place. But then the Great Depression hits, the Dust Bowl hits, and life as they know it fall apart. And so she is trying to keep her family together, keep her family alive, but also struggling to make ends meet and feed her family. And it's so sad, but so empowering, because like Kristen Hanna is so good at making her characters feel so real. So it's like you really you feel for these characters, like your heart truly goes out to them. And I think that's why I cried so much with this book. Book number 6 I read in May is Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. This was one of my book club's books for May. I gave this one 2 stars. This book was awful. Like, I laughed at certain parts, so it's like I finished it, but it was very cringy, the writing was so cringy. It was trying to be like trendy and like with the slang, and I was like, this is a fantasy book. Like, I don't want to hear the main character say free the nip like in the book. Like, no thank you. No. So yeah, but plus the synopsis, like the back cover of that book, quite literally spoils the big twist. Like, I'm pretty sure on the back of the book it says like she is Hercules. And then it's like the whole book, it's like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so powerful? Why am I this? And then it's like, oh, it's because I'm Hercules. I'm like, we knew this the whole time because we read, is it supposed to be willing suspension of disbelief? Is that what it's called? Like, were we supposed to like pretend like we don't know that you told us she's Hercules reincarnated or something? I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Book number 7, I read Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I gave this one 3 stars just because of how brutal it was. Like, I was intrigued and I wanted to keep reading it, and I saw so many people give this book 5 stars with how like it just grabs your attention. And if you like true crime, like, this book is for you. So this one follows 2 sisters and who are living like completely different lives. Like, we find out that they have a third sister who went missing like a really long time ago. I don't remember what I can say without spoiling and what I can't. So, but it's following these girls because I think like the kidnappings or the disappearances are happening again. And so it's a lot is happening. So these 2 sisters have to come together, and they're in a lot of trouble. Like, just they dig themselves into a really big hole, because where they go poking, somebody does not want them poking. And so let's just say danger happens. But this book is very graphic. It does not hold back on the details of what happens to these women that have disappeared. And so if you have a weak stomach or you're easily triggered, do not read this book, because it is very graphic. Like, it does not hold back, truly. It does not. So, with that being said, I also read Blonde Hair, Blue Eyes by Karen Slaughter. I gave this one 3 stars. It is the novella that's like the prequel to Pretty Girls. And so it's basically like the third sister that disappeared. This is her POV before, like, right up until she got lost. So, yeah. That book's also graphic. It's also really sad, because if you read Pretty Girls before it, like, you know what happens to her. So it's like the whole time, like, she gets humanized and you're like, damn, like, I know what happens to you. And I'm like, frick. Book number 9 in May, I read The Hound of Rowan by Henry H. Neff. This is another kid's book. I think it's like something tapestry series. And this book I gave 3 stars just because it gave like the nostalgic vibe of Harry Potter, like where it's like majestical and like the chosen one of this like young boy. And there's like magical creatures, and there's like a secret school that he gets to go to, and he doesn't know who to trust. So I just prefer Harry Potter, and you can call me basic, but this book was still fun, which is why I gave it 3 stars. It's just not my favorite. Book number 10 that I read in May is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I gave this one 4 stars because I really liked it. I know so many people give it 5 stars and they say this book is like absolute perfection. I found myself getting bored at certain little parts, like the detail would go a little bit, it would go too much into detail about certain things and then like rush through other things. Like I feel like the pacing was just a bit off for me, so my attention span kind of like zoned in and then went away, and then zoned in and then went away. But I still loved the characters, I still loved the plot. I thought it was really interesting, really unique, and I still loved how like enmeshed I got really, I dove into this world, like you were able to really sink into it and imagine yourself there, which is why I gave it 4 stars. It just wasn't perfection to me. Book number 11 in May, I read Sunlight by Devney Perry. This is another book club book of mine. I gave this one 4 stars. So this is the second book to Crossroads. So this follows the other brother, and this trope is accidental pregnancy. And I know, before you run away screaming, I believe this is accidental pregnancy done correctly. Like the respect and the like respect of like boundaries and the mutual like communication between these two is like very, very strong. And yeah, this book was just really well done, and it's like, even if the pregnancy wasn't there, I still believe that they had great chemistry. They had like, so like I feel like the pregnancy just added to the plot instead of, it wasn't the entire plot. Like other things were going on. So I think that's what I really appreciated about it. Book number 12 of May was Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I gave this book 3 stars just because I thought it was really basic. Like this is like a book that I feel like I would see on Wattpad, where it's like a girl's in love with her brother's best friend, and he doesn't pay any attention to her. He kind of ignores her, doesn't pay attention. And then a new guy comes along. She goes to college and she meets a real man that she falls head over heels for. Now the brother's best friend comes looking and getting jealous and territorial. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's very Wattpad to me, very love triangle-y Wattpad, very basic, but still fun. So if you want to like turn your brain off and just read something, I recommend that one. Book number 13 I read in May is Diary of an Oxygen Thief by Anonymous. We don't know who the author is. I gave this one 3 stars as well, just because like I was very interested in this book. It was very short, but it captured my attention. But you're quite literally meant to hate the main character's guts. Like the main dude, I think it's a male, yeah, he's a dude. He literally starts off the book saying like how he enjoys hurting women, like not physically but emotionally. He says he loves watching the light die in their eyes. So he's like, I convince them that they're in love with me, and then I turn it off and break their hearts into a million pieces. And so it's just about him. He's a narcissist, he's an asshole, he's the worst person ever. But it was also kind of fascinating being in his head, so I don't know what that says about me. I'm sorry, I have to turn on the light. The lighting is going to be so bad, but it's so dark. Pause. Lighting change. All right. Book number 14 is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is another book of my 25 for 2025, so. Yippee! I gave this one 4 stars. It was really sweet. So this one's kind of like a magical realism romance. It's a sapphic romance, and It is about a girl who she finds a crush on the Q train in New York, but she discovers that the woman that she's kind of like having a crush on is almost like stuck in time and stuck on this train. So they're going to start working together to figure out how she got there, how they're going to get her out of this, how long she's been there, all of this stuff. And so as they're working together, they kind of fall in love. So sweet. 15 and 16, I read It's Not Summer Without You and We'll Always Have Summer, the second and third book of the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. I rated these both 4 stars just because, like they read kind of childish, but they're so fun. Like they just give that nostalgic summer vibe. So, just like if you want to feel like you're 16 or 17 in summer again, read it. But you can also watch the show. I know that's blasphemous, but the show does an excellent job. There's the 16 books I read in May, and I'm not a psycho, so I promise I only read 7 books in June because I've kind of been in a slump this month. I know. How do you go from 16, and then 7? Like, I guess I burnt myself out. I don't know. But I've only read 7 books this month. But that's fine because I'm still ahead of my reading goal. Anyways. So the first book I read in June was Serpent and Dove by Shelby Maugharan. I rated this one 4 stars because I absolutely ate this one up. So this book is a fantasy romantasy, and our female main character is a witch, and she gets married to a witch hunter, but he doesn't know that she's a witch. And so it's so good. That's all I'm gonna say. This book is so good. I loved it. I was laughing out loud. I was also like on the edge of my seat. I was swooning. Yeah, loves this book. Book number 2 in June was Confess by Colleen Hoover. I gave this one 4 stars just because I read it in a day. I was feeling really slumpy and I was like, I need something to turn my brain off. And so I read Confess, and this one's about a girl really needs a job. So she gets hired at this gallery where the man takes like anonymous confessions and then he incorporates them into his artwork. So he looks at the confession, he paints something. More chaotic things ensue and the plot thickens. The guy isn't who he says he is truly. But yeah. Anyways, that was Confess. Book number 3 in June, I read One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, and I gave this book 5 stars. This book is so freaking good. I loved it. It is about, I want to say she's in her 30s. It's about a woman who takes her grandmother to a lake house that they used to go to like every summer when our main character was little, because her grandma is like not feeling her best. She's been kind of like down in the dumps. So to cheer her grandma up, she kind of takes her on this like nostalgia trip to like, experience the lake, experience the sun, just get away from things. So yeah, she does that, and she meets a very hot but sassy man who happens to be the handyman for the house that they're staying at, and so their banter is delicious. And yeah, it's a very fun book, but it also gets like pretty emotional. Like it's not just like I'm skating, like it's not a shallow book, it actually like gets into deep emotions and like insecurities and things like that. So love it. Book number 4 I read in June is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao. I rated this one 4 stars just because it ripped my heart out. This is a YA fiction, I guess. I wouldn't call it a romance, but it's a fiction book. And it's the aftermath. So a senior in high school, her boyfriend passes away in a very tragic accident. And so she is trying to deal with the grief and the repercussions of like managing high school, but also managing grief and managing college applications and friendships and all of this. Yeah, and so she found out because she tried calling his phone just to hear his voice. Even though he's passed away, he answers. So she's confused because he's supposed to be gone, but she has him again via phone call. So it's like magical realism, but also really saddening. I really liked it. Book number 5 of June, I read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I rated this one 5 stars. It's another historical fiction book, and this one's about 2 sisters during World War II, and the sisters could not be more different than the other. One is a headstrong, she's a rebel, she wants to fight against the Nazi regime. I can't talk, I'm sorry. And the other one wants to keep her head low. She wants to protect her daughter. She wants to stay out of trouble. And so throughout this war, they're clashing heads, they're clashing causes because they both think the other one is being stupid. Yeah, I sobbed my eyes out. This is a really good book. Book number 6, I read This Is How You Lose the Time War. I know it's 2 authors. I think it's like Amal something and Max Gladstone. I'll include the picture, but I'm sorry that I don't remember both of your names. I rated this one 4 stars. I read this for a book club that I just recently went to, and I would have given it 5 stars because the prose is so beautiful and like it just really like engrosses you. But the first 30% of the book, I was like, what the actual F is happening? So I was like, I can't give it 5 stars just because maybe it'll change if I reread it. But because Red and Blue are communicating via letters on opposite ends of a time war, it's like it jumps timelines, it jumps perspectives, so it's very jarring and like your head gets all toggled up, like it's very confusing. And then after like a good percentage of the book, you kind of like get the swing of things, you get the momentum, you get what's going on, you understand. So yeah, I rated it 4 stars. It was very fun. It's a very short read, but it might take you a while because it's very dense prose. It's very poetic, but beautiful, but very dense. And then the last book that I read for June is called The Devil's Advocate. It's also by 2 authors, Vivi Page and I forgot her name. I'm so sorry. But I rated this one 2 stars. Not a great way to finish off June. A very bingeable, almost like reality TV version of a book. Mafia romance. It was very short and it's kind of like, so it's about a mafia like man, a criminal. He murders a man in the middle of the street and someone sees it. So he goes to the best criminal defense attorney he can think of. Her name is Sophie. So he kind of blackmails her into representing him, and then from there sparks fly. It kind of gave the vibes of The Godfather, honestly. Like he gave her an offer she can't refuse, and yeah, it kind of took off. It was very dramatic. Also like there are a lot of plot holes. Like they fell in love like super quickly and like things got resolved super quickly. It's just like the pacing was really, really, really rushed. I think that's what makes it so bingeable. Those are all of the books that I've read in April, May, and June. Thank you guys for sticking around for freaking 45 minutes and watching. Comment down below if you read any of these books or what you thought of them, or if I convinced you or unconvinced you to read any books. Yeah, share your thoughts with me. I love to read them. I hope you guys have a great night, a great day. I hope you have a great July. Happy July and happy 4th. You guys, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. Have a great evening.